Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Practical Founders Podcast, where every week we hear an amazing story from a serious founder who built a valuable software company and did it without big funding. I'm your host, Greg Head, and this week my guest is Rachit Khator, the founder and CEO of Stackby. Stackby is one of those spreadsheet to database to app builders that doesn't require coding to do those repetitive, complicated things that people do so manually in spreadsheets. He's got competitors like AirTable and Supermetrics and even those Zapier and ClickUp and others, the big companies with the big funding. Rachit has done it as in a bootstrap way. He has tens of thousands of paying customers for his product-led growth business based in India. And he's really taking the Zoho approach, making cheaper, faster, easier ways to build Airtable is just, raised over $1 billion and is, trying to sell to enterprise. He's not trying to be that. And he's got a growing company with no outside funding. It's really an amazing story. Welcome to the Practical Founders Podcast, Rachit. Nice to see you today.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for inviting me and lovely seeing you too.
Yeah. It's light here in my background. The sun is coming in, got my lights on, and it's dark there. So it's evening where you are.
It's
You're in India.
almost night in India. Yeah, so around we're at 10:30 p.m. right now.
Yes, right. Well, most people would call that night. Maybe you're an entrepreneur who works all day and works all night. Where are you in India?
So I'm in a city called Surat. It's north of Mumbai. It's 4 hours north of Mumbai. It's very famous for world's, 90% of the diamonds get polished in our
Diamonds, right?
city.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's called the Manchester of the East because we have got a huge textile business, in the city. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I come from that. There's a lot of IT also happening,
Yes.
primarily service-based companies, but I see a lot of companies in India building products out of, tier one and tier two cities. So
And would
there
you
are a lot
call
of possible.
Surat a tier two city, meaning it's big, but it's not, one of the real big ones?
Right.
You know?
So it's a tier two city, but it's becoming into a tier one now. So it's moving very
Okay.
fast. Yeah.
All right. Well, like
Yeah.
a lot of things in India that are moving very fast, and
Yeah.
I've had older founders on the podcast in India. You're a younger founder, so
Yeah.
you didn't see it 20 years ago when there wasn't much tech there, and it's been growing and booming ever since. So
Yeah.
um, let's talk about your company that's up and running and looking at your next growth phase. That's
Yeah.
Stackby. Tell us, what is Stackby and who is it for?
Yeah. Yeah. So Stackby is essentially a no-code platform. It combines the best of spreadsheets, databases, and automations to let
Mhm.
non-technical spreadsheet users to become no-code creators or software
Mhm.
creators. So we
Mhm.
want to enable individuals and businesses to build their own custom tools without the need of a developer.
Mhm.
And these individuals can be businesses or teams, and where they can manage their workflows and collaborate with their team and manage all of their data in a single place.
Okay.
So
Well, you used a
that's what.
lot of words in there that are a lot more common. 10 years ago, no code and spreadsheets
Yeah,
to database and
yeah,
build your
yeah,
own workflows and databases and integrations and so forth was
yeah,
not very common, but it's pretty common these days with lots of competitors. Even
right,
Zapier, that connector software, is starting to get into the workflows and automations and tables business. But we have Airtable
yeah,
that has raised over $1 billion in funding.
okay, right,
Probably some of that to take money off the table. But
yeah,
and there's other no-code app builders that
yeah.
that people can use to do things. And you're not a billion-dollar company. You're a bootstrapped company. Can you
Yeah.
say about how big your company is right now?
Yeah, so I mean, we are close to 30 people right now
Yeah.
as a team. We've been bootstrapped. We launched our product in 2020, and more than 75,000 businesses are, successfully using our platform.
Right.
And these are unique companies, organizations, and teams on our platform. And we have bootstrapped, so far.
Right.
Um, yeah, yeah, and we've been bootstrapped. We've been profitable since the time we've started our operations,
Okay.
which makes us a little more agile than these larger,
Yes.
competitors that you just mentioned. And we have a very, we have a customer first mindset. So,
Hmm.
I mean, we take our customers, very seriously, and we build very practically as a product,
Yeah.
as a team. Because of course we don't have the bandwidth of the Airtables of the world or the
Right.
Zapiers of the world,
Right.
so which makes us want to do the right things first, right?
Yeah.
And makes us want to do the things that really like a lot of people care about, and then move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
So this has successfully worked for us so far,
Hmm.
and we've organically grown, without much paid marketing spend, to
Hmm.
over 75,000 businesses.
Yeah.
And since the product had a lot of gestation,
Hmm.
period, which allowed us to, you know, remain bootstrapped, did not take funding, and we made sure that we built the right product first for the
Yeah.
customers that we're aiming for, right?
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more about us and our DNA. Yeah.
Can you say about how much revenue is in the business? Profitable with 34 employees, probably all in India or mostly in India?
Yeah, yeah. All of them are in India, and we're inching close to $1 million in
Okay,
ARR.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but 75,000 businesses using your software. I guess that includes free and paid. It's a
Correct.
product-led
Yeah,
growth, freemium, try it,
right.
and an
Yeah,
expand model like we've seen in a lot of these.
yeah,
Um, a lot of up and running companies say, well, let's say CRM, for example, there's Salesforce and there's Pipedrive. There's all these big horizontal, companies that everybody knows about, or the
yeah.
few big ones. And there's an infinite number of vertical ones, the CRM for this industry in this country and so forth.
Correct.
But
Yeah,
you're not a vertical focused niche
yeah,
provider. You're still horizontal. I go to your website and there's all kinds of
yeah.
integrations you can plug into the APIs and all kinds of templates and all kinds of
Right.
industries and all kinds of workflows. How is your customer different than somebody who would consider any of these other solutions? Is it they just
Yeah.
want something simpler and cheaper, like a lot of people would?
No, so I think one of the biggest differentiators that we have is that when we started Stackby, we were like an API first, company, or an API first, spreadsheet. So back in
Okay.
2017, when I was working, for a large company in US, we were using a lot of these different tools where we used to plug in the data from these different tools, put it manually on the spreadsheets, and track it, right? So the original idea was to how do we collect data from all these different APIs and plug them automatically into your tables, right? That's how
Yeah.
the whole idea of Stackby really started, right? We wanted to build an API first spreadsheet,
Right.
or an API first spreadsheet database hybrid. Over a period
Right.
of time, it became a no code platform. When I
Right.
started building the tool, it was primarily built for marketers, sales, and product folks to automatically pull in data from these different sources, right? So even today, like, we stay true to the philosophy, right? We are still very API first. We've built over 50 native connectors to different services like YouTube or Facebook ads and so on. So marketers and marketing teams, they typically use three different tools, right? Project management software, and analytics software,
Yeah.
and spreadsheets, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
we wanted to enable marketing teams and marketing agencies to build and manage their end-to-end workflows in a single platform. They don't need to use these three different tools. They can use a single platform where they can connect to those APIs, manage their internal data, collaborate with their team, and just get things done.
Right.
So that's how made us a little different than the rest. And but then over a period of time, we started attracting a lot of these small businesses, across different functions, and we continued to build on top of it, right?
Yeah.
So we still have the API first mentality, but at the same time, we continue to build like the no code platform on the side. Now we can like safely say that after 5 years that we are like becoming a no code platform, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel there are three different components to no code. One is the database component, one is the
Hmm.
automation component, and the third is the interfaces or the application component, right?
Right.
So we have pretty much covered the first two, the database and the automation component. Now we are moving towards the third component, where how can
Yeah.
we enable non-technical folks build interfaces through drag and drop, you know
Does that mean build an app that they could use instead of a spreadsheet?
Exactly. So
Okay.
spreadsheet would be on the back end, but build an interface on top of it where they could share it with their clients or use it internally within their team,
Yeah.
within their own stakeholders.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I hear the leaning, or at least the first customer use cases came from the sales and marketing side, pulling in all this data, having to do something with it, doing it every month, those kinds of things.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
you're not really sales and marketing focused. This isn't the data platform for sales and for marketers to pull in
Yeah.
and analyze data. It's a generalized platform that
It is.
small
It is.
businesses could use and
Yeah.
so forth. So, and you have some ambition to keep growing. We'll talk about your next phase of
Yeah.
growth there. You keep saying we. Do you have co-founders in the business, or are you the sole
No,
founder? And
I'm the sole founder. I do have like a fractional CTO and a fractional CMO, in the
okay,
business,
you're still
and they've been,
fractional.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're all fractional because it's bootstrapped. So, of course, they cannot afford them right now to give them full-time salaries, but they are enough involved in the business where they're managing the day-to-day
Yeah.
in our tech and marketing. So that is there. And we, when I say we, I mean we as a team. I
Hmm.
mean, like one of our core values, within Stackby, like there's a lot of humility within all of the team
Hmm.
members, right? And some of the folks that have been with us, they've been with us since the last, since the time we launched the product. So
Yeah.
like my top, 10 engineers are essentially people who have been with us for an average of 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So, and it's very interesting in a market where people switch jobs just like within
Mhm.
months. So to stay invested in a goal and to stay invested in a product for a longer period of time just makes me feel they're more of a family than
Yeah.
really a team. So
Well, that's one of the advantages I hear about, of
yeah,
course, in the States, but also in India,
yeah,
the tier two cities that aren't so, you know, uh, like unlike Bangalore or,
yeah,
Delhi and Mumbai, there's a frenzy, for tech talent. The
right.
tier two cities, are people are a little bit more loyal and, want a little bit more lifestyle. Is that generally how you see it?
Absolutely. And plus they want more opportunities, right? Because
Hmm.
in a city like us, there are very less product-based companies. And
Yeah.
there are great engineering institutes. Now this
Mm.
talent goes to other cities, but they now want to migrate back to the city because the lifestyle here is great, right?
Yeah.
And they want to move to the city. It's beautiful, it's over the river banks and great views. It's the cleanest city in India.
Yeah.
It's number one right now. So people want to move back, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes it's all about creating opportunities, in a smaller town, and that has worked, in favor for us, right? Because of course, when I came back from the States in 2018 to India, the first thought was that whether to move to Bombay or Bangalore. Now I
Yeah.
had family in Mumbai that would support me, and few friends in Bangalore, and I really I was just speaking to my father, and I just told him that listen, I'm now since that I'm in India, I think I need to just go to one of these ecosystems, right, to build a software like this. And he told me one thing: if you don't have something in your city, why don't you create opportunities for others? And I
That's an
dismissed the idea back
entrepreneurial
then.
way of thinking. Is he an entrepreneur?
He is. He is a first
Okay.
generation entrepreneur, and he started his own textile business 30 years back, and he's successfully running it along with his two brothers. It's a family owned business.
Mm.
So we make fabrics, and these fabrics go into various sorts of garments,
Yeah,
which are
good.
shipped globally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, look at that. So we'll go into your journey here, but
yeah,
you've gotten this built business up and running, and
yeah,
product-led growth businesses that
yeah,
have, let's say, smaller price points and tens of
yeah,
thousands of paying customers
yeah,
tend to get to product market fit and product maturity
yeah,
uh, faster, even for the side, or a higher maturity level that for the revenue than enterprise software companies at 5 million and 10 million. So, if you sell a big ticket item, it could
right,
be a very messy and startup-y company, but
yeah,
you've matured a product, you have tens of thousands of customers, and that's a real milestone there. But we'll talk about like what do you see next, and the
yeah,
world is changing, and of course you're more flexible and agile. So, well,
yeah,
how are you going to play that from here? So you're in the journey, and you're kind
right,
of at a, I don't know, does it feel like an inflection point now that you've kind of got it up around a million and
yeah,
um, matured the product, and you
yeah.
can look around and see what you want, or is it you're still thrashing about, or over,
No, I mean,
what is,
I'm continuously building like week on week, like since the last 5 years, we've been just, building the right product. So
yeah.
still the 90% of our team is, engineering, right? And product.
90% is engineering, right? Okay,
Right.
so it's
Yeah.
almost like you're funding this, you know, pretty heavy platform,
Right.
by your customer
Yeah,
revenues.
because first of all, it's not an easy platform to build, right? Even though there are large competitors who are trying it, if you still see that product, that it's not that mature, and I mean they lack a lot of features that than just a true no code platform. Creating a table with pagination, is very easy. You get a free JavaScript library, to do it. So if there are competitors just naming that product, and really the product is just the tables with pagination on it, then it's really not a product, right? Even if you call it tables.
Yeah.
So now the point is, we've built something like a Google Sheet from scratch, right? Now the issues that we are solving for is for performance, is for collaborative undos, right? It's for when three people undo at the same time, how will it work, right? And
Right.
and how do you load these large databases on a browser, right? Where you have to control the memory and make sure that it's like we are fighting for seconds, right?
Yeah.
And MBs and KBs, right?
Yeah.
When we start doing things. So
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it's an easy product to build, but it is actually very hard. So even if you just look at what our competitors have done, Airtable, they started in 2012, but they took 5 years to release the product. So 2016 is when they launched the product, right? We could launch the product in 2 years, right? From 2018 we started, 2020 we launched our first beta.
Hmm.
And so the product does have that gestation period. Some products do have that gestation period, and you want to make sure that you build the right product before you could really raise funding or go all in on that.
Yeah.
So which is why we also delayed our funding, right? We
Yeah.
did have term sheets in the past, 2021, 2022.
Sure.
Yeah, but we did not end up taking it because we knew that to build the right product, we still need a little more time, and
Hmm.
we were profitable with all the customer funding that that was coming. So I still feel there is we have just scratched the surface in terms of where the market is going, and whether or not we raise funding, we are at a point where we could continue growing without you know either or, right? So
Yeah.
like whether we raise funding or we do
Yeah.
not raise funding, we do have like a plan in place to grow in both ways.
Right. Well, and funding, once you're up and running, you guys are
Yeah.
definitely up and running,
Yeah.
and you guys have some choices there. But funding is usually for fueling growth
Yeah.
tactics that work already,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
doing more of that.
Yeah.
And you've been very product focused. Most funding isn't really for, and then go back and add more features and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And you've been relatively modest in your growth. You've got an inexpensive product. Where are most of your customers? There's a lot of, let's say, technology lookalike products
Yeah.
in mature markets that start in India, but they're much less expensive to sell to the Indian market. Where are your customers?
Yeah, 90% of our customers are outside of India. So primarily North America is our largest market.
Okay. Yeah.
So over 50% of them are from US, and the rest, some bigger geographies. We have got a lot of customers in UK, Australia, Middle East,
Right.
Southeast Asia. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
90% is outside of India, really,
Okay.
and 10,
And for the
10%.
kind of use case that your product excels at, API data and
Yeah,
processing and,
yeah,
creating automations that will do it over again every month and intelligence around that. For, I don't know, a business that has 5 users or something like that, are you 10 times cheaper than Airtable or about
No,
the same price as Airtable?
we are 2 to 3 times cheaper than Airtable. So Airtable, because of course they've taken millions of dollars in funding. Their the only way is to go up, right?
Yeah.
And to increase. So I
Yeah.
think
They
that
have a lot of enterprise words on there.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
it's all, and even the marketing is more enterprise these days. Of
Yeah.
course,
Great.
they've done a lot of product led growth. There are a lot of integrations, and a lot of people have picked up Airtable as a data source or as a like a UI based database and built products on top of it. So they've created a great ecosystem out of it. But today, like as a product, Airtable is expensive, to have for even like a 15 or a 20 member team, right?
Yeah.
Imagine paying $30 or $40 per user per month, month on month. So we are
Yeah.
4 times cheaper, than that,
Yeah.
because we are able to sustain the cost,
Yeah. Of
of course,
course.
operating out of India, and at the same time, building a very mature product, right? And
Yeah.
since we have this product first and a customer first mentality, it just helped us, build the right things first, and that resonated very well with our customer base.
Okay. Great.
Yeah,
Well, how did you mentioned you grew up in Surat, but like you spent some time in the States. You went to university
yeah,
in Michigan. You
yeah,
worked for a company there where you discovered this. Briefly, tell us about this. And
yeah.
you're one of the few that gets in the tech game and goes back to India right away. So,
Yes. So I did applied physics from India. I did my master's here. from NIT in Surat, and then I did another master's in entrepreneurship from University of Michigan. So it was a joint
As
program
people
between.
do, physics, applied physics, and entrepreneurship. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
So, and it was joint degree between the College of Engineering and the Raw School of Business. And University of Michigan is very popular,
Yeah.
especially in the Midwest area,
Yes.
around entrepreneurship, right? The whole community town Ann Arbor is great. Like it
Yeah.
thrives on entrepreneurship. People are extremely friendly, and it was just a perfect place for me to be, right?
Oh, good.
And fortunately, I got an opportunity, to be selected. I think I was maybe, the third, like fourth Indian, to be in the cohort out of
Mm.
the thousands that have applied. And they took me because of my physics, background, not because of, my engineering, background.
Mm.
So that really,
Interesting.
helped me, get into University of Michigan. And
Mm.
then and entrepreneurship has been something since since the last 15 years, like when I
Yeah.
started reading about it, in local newspapers, and the online media around entrepreneurship, back when I was in college. And I founded a student-run organization, in college. So I always had that in me that I wanted to do something. But of course, because when you look at entrepreneurship, people raising so much money, building businesses, and then creating a lot of value, right, amongst
Yeah.
amongst the stakeholders, it just drove me that I want to do something. But I wanted to work on a right problem. So which is why I got into industry. I worked in automotive for 4 years. It's a large automotive company based in Michigan, and we used to invest into automotive related tech startups, right?
Hmm.
Autonomous vehicles, cybersecurity, connected
Like
car, and so on.
corporate investments, corporate venture, something like
Corporate
that.
venture, yeah. So
Yeah.
did that for 4 years, and that's when I realized that okay, we
And that's where you discovered, like, I need to input all this data and process it. You're probably looking for deals
absolutely,
and
because
yeah,
because my job was on spreadsheets mostly. The
yeah,
3 4 years that I spent in the
smart.
corporate company, even though we had a Salesforce CRM, at the corporate level, we still could not use it for our use case, right? We were using deal flow, like our deal flow and patent analysis, competitor analysis. All of this were on spreadsheets, right?
Yeah.
And we were trying to find a better way to manage all of this data. And that's when just Airtable was just starting, back then.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
so we did not even know how Airtable was going to pan out. Then we
Right.
started building the product in 2017, and then I hired one engineer in India. We built the prototype, did a lot of customer validation, realized that this is a great enough problem to solve. End of 2017, quit my job. 2018, moved back to India and started Stackby. So in 2 months, I had to wrap up everything. Like I had to break off my lease, sell off my car,
Yeah.
and really move countries to to start this.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I could see a little difference. Uh, physics and engineering.
Yeah.
Most Indian parents would love to have you continue in that engineering space in physics or something technical or become a doctor. But you said I want to be an entrepreneur. And you, uh, University of Michigan, and there's a quite a hotbed of technology there, not just all software tech, but there's a lot of entrepreneurialism going in. But you said I want to go back to
Yeah.
Surat. So why did you go back? Did you know you wanted to do that, or is that you
No,
just said
I
this is
honestly did
the
not
least
plan it.
expensive way to start a software company?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I was on an H-1B visa. So,
Ah, okay.
there were
Yeah.
visa restrictions, of course, to start in the United
Yes.
States because you need an employer sponsored visa to stay in the States. And that really became a challenge. I did try out, few ways to, start this in the United States, but unfortunately I could not. And I
Would you have
realized,
stayed if this is a modern political discussion. If anybody who gets a technical degree from someplace else in the world, we want the smart people here. If you got a green card,
yeah.
with your diploma, would you have stayed in the States?
I would have, because I
Okay.
did have lot of connections with a lot of investors, and a lot of them wanted to fund the idea that I
I
was
see.
working on. So
Okay.
even like pre-revenue, pre-product, there were connections that were willing to
Oh, you
fund
sound
and
like a
get
smart
this off
guy.
the ground.
I'm sure you'd seen 1,000 pitches and you knew how to sell it. But you
Yeah,
didn't. You actually worked at a venture firm, let's
yeah,
say, a pretty
yeah,
practical one, and you're technical and so forth. But you said, I'm not going to raise funding. You still haven't raised funding.
yeah.
What is going on there? Why did you do that?
So I
Rachit?
came from an investor mindset, right? The first four
Hmm.
years, let me put it like succinctly, investors are butchers, right? I mean,
Okay, there we
Uh,
go.
yeah, and we had this mindset. Like when I was looking at the deal, I wanted that startup to perform and meet their milestones sooner than they thought they
Hmm.
would. and there was this constant pressure, to the startup founders as well, right? Quarter on quarter, because I was the one who was asking that information, from these startup
So you
founders.
were trained to like and push hard. You just invested, hurry up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And because, of course, we have put significant amount of money, right?
Yeah.
And startups have to be, the founders have to be on their toes at all times, and
Yeah.
investors want to generate returns for, for their
And you
stakeholders,
became
right?
the pressure in this game,
Yeah,
or at least you saw the pressure and you said, I don't need that pressure. I want to
exactly.
build something, you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of the opposite of building something with quality.
Absolutely. And I knew the product that I was getting into, this was not a short-term game. Like for
Yeah.
me to build the right product, it would take at least a few years.
Yeah.
And, investors, if I raised money prematurely in 2020 or 2021,
Yeah.
it would still be, on a half-baked product, right?
Yeah.
And because we wanted to continuously build and make it better. So,
Hmm.
one of the other reasons of not raising money, was to make sure that we have the right product in place, and then, generate, opportunities for us to,
Imagine that. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Make sure
And
you have
today,
a product and a happy customer and,
yeah,
some confidence around your early product market fit, to
absolutely.
be able to push on that.
Yeah, now we are at a point where, there are investors coming to us, and we are being cautious in terms of whether we want to raise or not, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's where we are,
Yeah.
as a company. Yeah.
So when you saw this opportunity, how long did it take you? You say 2017 started to prototype it,
Yeah.
2018 quit your job. When
Yeah.
did you have launch and then get those first paying customers?
Yeah. So this is interesting. So 2019, I went to Hong Kong. There is this conference called the Rise, conference in Hong Kong. Back in the days,
Yeah.
it was pretty popular, and all the folks of the tech ecosystem, gathered there. So we had a small standing booth, at the Hong
Yes.
Kong show,
I
and
know
we were
that
there
show.
for
Yeah.
like 2 3 days. I just had this small stack by poster with a spreadsheet on top of it, along with my laptop. And you won't believe, folks from Twitter, Starbucks,
Hmm.
large banks in Singapore, and Hong Kong, folks from there, they came in, they asked, what are you trying to build? It's a new kind of a spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and they got really excited. They're like, do you have a beta program? And so the first 6 months, from July 2019 to December 2019, is when we released the product in beta, and we gave it out to 100 or so companies, and these are the folks that I met really at the Hong Kong
Yeah.
show, and some of the other connections that I made in the past. And they continuously gave me feedback, right? That you're going in the right direction. You need to add this feature or that feature, and this solves for this one use case very well, right? So Jan 2020 is when we really released the product globally.
Okay.
Fortunately, we could partner with AppSumo. This is this whole deal
Oh, sure. Yeah.
marketplace.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we like went on
Kind
to
of a
become one of the
platform for apps to launch into an established, let's say,
market.
ecosystem, something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they've got 1 million plus businesses, and and we thought that this was a best place because we're building
I didn't
horizontally.
know that. Yeah.
I mean, to generate that kind of demand, of the product from the get go would require a lot of funding, right, upfront,
Yeah.
to do it. And of course, like most of our funding went into building the right product. So we
And
thought,
how did you fund that, Rachit?
yeah,
Did you fund that yourself? You
yes,
had saved some money. You were very
yes,
frugal. You saved some money. You were writing
yeah,
checks.
yeah.
Is that how you did this?
Yes, that's how I did it.
Wow.
And you won't believe I was down to my last $2,000 in the bank account. So December 2019, less than $2,000 left in the bank account of all the 4 years of savings that I had,
Hmm.
uh, from the job that I did. And that really, I think one thing that I've learned in this process, that if you're doing things honestly and with highest integrity, the universe will help you, right?
Mm.
And I felt that the whole universe helping me inflection point came in Jan 2020, is when we released the product, right? And we saw, like, in 1 year we could grow from zero to 8,000 companies, on the platform.
Wow.
And
And how
that
did you do that? Was it just through the AppSumo marketplace of apps, or some kind of organic SEO, or some
Yeah,
other?
so we did a lot of launches. Like, we did Product Hunt launch, we did AppSumo, we did Indie
Okay.
Hackers,
All
we
that
did
normal
Hacker,
stuff. Okay. Yeah.
all
Get the
all
word out.
all the
Waving your hands about this product-led growth thing. Yeah.
absolutely. So all the places that that had communities, right? AppSumo was one community, and there are multiple other communities, right? And one thing that really helped us, like we became, there is a online media outlet called Your Story in India, which is very popular.
Mm.
It brings the tech ecosystem together, and a lot of
Yeah.
startups are associated with it. They cover startups, and they have this Tech 30 program where they select top 30 startups in India for that year, out of the 5,000 startups, that apply.
Yeah.
And we became a Tech 30 in 2020. So
Yeah.
that really, pushed us a lot. And like some of the successful businesses like Freshworks, Zoho,
Yeah.
Ola, and Swiggy, the bigger, successes in India were all Tech 30, businesses.
Yeah.
So, and we were the
Okay.
first in our state to become a Tech 30. So that really helped us, build positive momentum and, recognition
And was
amongst.
that all you at the time? Meaning you had coders building this thing, and you were
Yeah.
making the website and going to all these events and getting in these communities and answering emails and putting up the landing pages. Was that like
Yeah.
10 engineers plus Rachit?
Yeah, that's all it is. I was a product owner for the longest time. The first 2 years, I was a product owner
Yeah.
of Stackby and did everything that I could to make sure that the word is out,
Yeah.
that there is a product like this and we're building for this use case. I know, and we faced a lot of rejections early on. Let me be very honest, Greg.
Mm.
There were a lot of naysayers that, hey, there's Airtable, there's all these bigger companies. You wouldn't survive, right? You wouldn't even be 20% of what they are, right?
Mhm.
And like I've got some really brutal comments even from my own friends, um, but that just kept us going, and we
Why did
continued.
that keep you going? I mean, some people get punched in the face and they get down, and then
Yeah,
things slow down, and then it gets worse. But
yeah,
sometimes that chip on the shoulder inspires some people, or you see something they don't see, of course, when you have
yeah,
confidence. But what was
yeah.
it that inspired you to keep going?
Because we knew that we had the DNA to build this and build it in the fastest amount of time with the minimum amount of funding,
Hmm.
and to build a global level product coming out of a tier 2 city in India. We just wanted to set an example of the
Yeah.
next generation of entrepreneurs that would go in. You
Right. The
won't
road
believe.
wasn't made for you. Nobody else was doing that in town, right? And
Nobody was.
here's this scrappy company, and I'm sure it wasn't very glamorous doing
Absolutely.
this. So that's the kind of the entrepreneurial way, saying like nobody's done it, but so what? Like we can do it.
Today there are 100 SaaS entrepreneurs coming out of the city,
Awesome.
and they're building global businesses. These are not like local Indian software. This is like these are selling to the world.
Yeah.
So
Was
that
there an ecosystem in Surat or Mumbai that you took advantage of, or somewhere?
Bangalore and Chennai are two major ecosystems. I
Okay. Yeah.
used to, go to conferences in
Oh,
Bangalore and
really?
Chennai
Yeah.
to be able to do it.
Okay.
And of course, Mumbai, because a lot of like big corporates have their offices in Mumbai.
Hmm.
So I would go personally meet, the CXOs of
Yeah.
large marketing agencies or, large, corporates and banks and so on, and
Yeah.
just, discuss, about the problem that we were trying to solve, right?
Right.
So fortunately, there were some supporters, but in a lot of ways, there were a lot of skeptical, folks that I found along the way. But that did not, push us down. Like it just helped us, you know, put your heads down, focus on, building the right product, right? And we just
Yeah, I
continued.
always had I've been doing this a long time, and I was doing it before software was cool and common,
Yeah,
even in the States. And people said, I don't get it. Salespeople never use computers, and what are you doing and everything. I could see it and so forth. But I also was inspired because the longer people said it, you can't do that. Nobody's going to do this and everything. It
yeah,
just kept the normal people from, the common knowledge was, oh, this isn't going to work. You
you're right.
can't do it that way. And we
Yeah,
knew we could do it. So it kept the crowd of competitors coming. So
yeah.
that allowed us a lot of space, I think.
No,
To,
absolutely.
yeah.
And sometimes I mean maybe that's the right way to do things. I mean I really want to like one thing that I was working directly under the CTO of this large Fortune
Hmm.
500 company in the US,
Right.
and the one quote that really stayed with me when I was still working in that company, he
Hmm.
always told us that fail fast, fail cheap,
Yeah.
right? There are a lot of corporate initiatives that we would do, but we wanted to make sure that we don't burn a lot of money in doing
Yeah.
that, and we build the minimum viable product and push it to the market,
Yeah.
and collect feedback, right? If you're able to do that
Yeah.
successfully, then you can scale it and build it how you wanted it. So that DNA stayed with me for Stackby, and we continued failing fast and failing cheap along the way till we
Yeah.
became moderately successful.
Yeah, very good. And that's a
Yeah.
challenge in horizontal spaces, right? Because
Yeah.
now you have people from all industries, of all sizes, and all
Yeah.
use cases telling you product needs this. How did you sort that out?
So
Product
we
leader
do
guy?
we have a very open product roadmap.
Okay.
So you go to roadmap.stackby.com, people upvote on certain features, and the maximum upvotes basically get
Yeah,
gets
so
taken
you
up,
literally
and
collect the votes or the crowd.
it's very democratic, like as a product
Okay.
company. I mean, of
Wow.
course, we know there are certain things that we want to build and differentiate, but at the same time, we want to hear what the customers are and what they're saying, right? So it's a mix
Yeah.
of that and customers voting on certain features.
This week's podcast is brought to you by my friends at Fullscale. Last year, I interviewed three-time software founder Matt Watson on this podcast about his successful practical founder journeys. Matt leveraged offshore development talent in his last two SaaS companies to hire quickly and scale up efficiently. His top developers and designers were offshore in the Philippines, but they weren't one-off contractors and they weren't difficult to manage outsourced agencies. He found an endless supply of top tech talent who became savvy members of his team, working hard every day to get things done. So for his fourth tech venture, Matt created Fullscale, which is one of the fastest growing software development companies in any region. Fullscale vets, employs, and supports over 300 professional developers and designers and testers in the Philippines who can augment and extend your core dev team. I know practical SaaS founders who use Fullscale to grow faster and avoid the product development nightmares that can kill a growing startup. So visit fullscale.io and see why their approach works so well, and book a call to see if they can help you. Now back to our podcast. So now you're up and running with tens of thousands of customers here.
Yeah.
What paying customers? How
Yeah.
are people finding and buying now? Is it like organic and SEO and
Yeah.
sales conversion or conversion page? Do you have salespeople at all and
No,
paid
so we have
marketing and stuff?
we have 4 people in marketing, 2 people in sales.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and
Okay. So you have
it's
some
all in.
sales for the businesses that want to,
These are for
call now,
larger,
that kind of, yeah.
for mid-sized companies, to push our ACVs a little more higher. We are
Mhm.
still largely like 98% inbound in terms of how we how we generate leads. And so yeah, these businesses, they find us, through direct channels. There's a lot of positive word of mouth,
Mhm.
happening. So we see that, we are at a point where this could become like really viral.
Yeah.
If people start knowing about, there is a tool and there's a potential of it, and they're mature, and they work, right? It's not
Yeah.
just another,
You've been around
tape,
a while. It's proven, that kind of
right?
thing.
It's yeah, and we built for the right things, right? Like the harder things, within the software. To build
Mhm.
like a relational database, it does have a lot of complexity, and to be able to scale that up. Now
Yeah.
we have scaled it to, few millions of databases being built on the platform, so we know, we could scale it to
Millions of
billions,
databases.
billions of databases, right?
Mhm.
So now that's the whole, mindset that we have. So yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's how we're growing. Yeah.
So along the way, things have heated up in 2021 and even
Yeah.
recently in India. There's more going on with funding, and you're familiar with the funding game, and you show
Yeah.
up with mature and this isn't you're not the only one in this market, and you've got some
Yeah.
really big players, but there's all kinds of opportunity there.
Yeah.
Are people lining up to give you some funding or try
Yeah.
to acquire you and tuck you into another, you know, platform with a big customer base,
Both,
or what,
both,
have you
both.
run
Yeah.
across those opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, on a daily basis, like I'm getting opportunities to get acquired,
Yeah.
and even like to get funding. But I want to build this into, the next big thing, because as I said, and maybe we had this conversation earlier, there are over a billion spreadsheet users, right? Out of the 2 billion knowledge workers that are in the world globally.
Hmm.
And today, it's not just a single organization's cup of tea to be able to cater to this, large audience. So it's
It's a
great
big
that,
market. There's going to be lots of solutions. Yes.
yeah, big market, lots of solutions. How you approach, and build the right product is, is what's going to set you apart, than your
Hmm.
competitors. So there
Yeah.
are still like a lot of differentiators that we have from these competitors that, makes us, that tad bit, better, in certain use cases, than those competitors, right? And
Yeah.
and the end user knows it. right? It's not just about the cost. It's also about, the value and the DNA of, the company, right? What value they're providing to their use case. If it's an extra value, they're willing to pay, even higher amounts from our competitor, right? If they were, let's say they thought they would take 10 users, if they found that, okay, there is more value to this product, they would end up taking 15, 20 users
Yeah.
on the platform, right?
Hmm.
So we're seeing a lot of that, happening, and a lot of positive momentum. At the
Yeah.
same time, like, there are large enterprises, who have moved onto our platform, and I've closed personally enterprise deals on Stackby without an enterprise sales team or without really like an account manager. I could close maybe five, six enterprise clients, and these are large, paying customers that could very well afford our competitors.
Yeah.
But they've realized the maturity and the value of the product and how
Right.
fast and agile we are, and they just want to support us, and they feel that this is the right way to move forward. So, like,
Yeah.
inbound, I've closed enterprise customers, right? So
Yeah.
these are all great signs, for product market fit. But now we are at a point where we are structuring and building the right organization structures to make sure that we are able to cater and scale, those larger accounts.
Well, it's also a
Yeah,
product game. This I've
yeah,
had plenty of product-led founders, and that get to tens of thousands of small businesses,
yeah,
individual users, and big companies, and then it starts floating up. That PLG to
yeah,
enterprise motion,
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
then they add salespeople, and then salespeople start knocking on doors, and then they say, "There's this whole stack of features you don't have."
yeah, right.
Single sign-on and security and some customizations and certain integrations and
Yeah.
so forth. Did you not run into those kind of
No, we
feature
do have
roadblocks?
all of that. We have SSO. We've got a bug bounty program. We deal with more than 300 security researchers who give us vulnerabilities on a daily basis.
Okay.
So, and
So
we,
you have a
yeah,
mature product and I don't
yeah.
know, would you say let's say your marketing and scale is less mature or not mature?
Exactly, because we do not spend a lot on paid marketing.
Hmm.
A lot of it is still very direct SEO, content led, and product led in
Hmm.
terms of where we are. We want to make it as self service possible,
Yeah.
and we do a lot of experiments with our onboarding, and we
Yeah.
want to make sure how do we reduce the time to value for the end
Right.
customer. So one of the metric that we look at is if say Greg, who runs a podcast, signs up on the platform, how
Hmm.
fast can we get Greg to, build, the first database where Greg is managing all the podcasts on,
Yes.
in a
That's the
table.
first epiphany is build something and say, I did it, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the aha moment for our
Okay.
end customer. So we try to measure it as much as we can. We are very data driven as a company. We've got tools in place to measure the customer journey, like from the website to within the product, and to in fact even using a certain feature within the product.
And how
So
fast is that? So people say, darn it, I've got this
yeah,
stupid spreadsheet. I'm tired of doing this. I
yeah,
bet I could automate this. And then they
yeah,
look around for tools
yeah,
and, the data in, the processing, the data out, and,
yeah,
some kind of workflow on top of that. But
yeah.
how long does it take for somebody to get to, wow,
Yeah.
this is going to work? That
I mean,
PLG, epiphany.
yeah. So I think one thing that we have seen particularly, like, we measure the number of
Hmm.
web sessions of a particular user that comes in, right? How
Okay.
many times are they signing in into the product, right? And we've typically seen the aha moment comes, once the user has signed up at least, like, logged in at least 7 to 8 times.
Okay.
So, like, that's so
Learn, try, play, see,
play,
think
see.
about it. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, import your data from spreadsheets or choose from one of
Yeah.
the templates, and then really start building. So once they move beyond the threshold of 10 web sessions, we know that they are a sticky customer and they would come onto the platform, and they're really trying to build something, because to be able
This
to get
isn't a
us,
build once kind of thing. This is build it and then use it every month, like or every day or something, right?
use it daily, right? Like, our
Okay,
customers are using Stackby daily to manage their work, right?
I
To manage
see.
their teams.
Hmm.
And this is a great, like a measuring point for us, that they, like in terms of, once we have to try to score these leads, we score them the highest, right? People who have come onto the platform and started inviting other users, right?
Yeah.
So these two are one of our major, like, engagement features that
Yes.
we look at.
Is there anything else in the product-led growth, the freemium, no touch,
Yeah,
software-led, marketing and conversion
yeah,
that you guys are doing that's unusual? Like we kind of see the product-led playbooks and,
yeah.
we've had Wes from productled.com on here talking about it, but there's a lot of variations. Is there something that you're doing that's unusual because of your space and your kind of customer?
Yeah, because it's very horizontal, right? But what I,
Yeah.
one, great feedback that I received from, from an investor was that even if you're building an horizontal product, try to build, verticalized solutions for the different personas that you're chasing, right? So regardless, we're building this no code platform, but if
Hmm.
there is a sales manager, they should be able to use it as a CRM. If it's a project manager, they should be able to see it as a project management tool. If it's an HR manager, they should be able to see it as an end-to-end recruitment management platform, right? So we basically collect three questions, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
From the on the sign up, and then we try to personalize as much as we can about that persona out of the three questions that you answer once
Hmm.
you sign up. So the templates that you see, the nudges that you get, we try to personalize, as much as we can for that particular user, that to make them believe that, hey, listen, even though we are a no code platform, we are best for the use case that that you're looking for, right? And we
So
do
some
have those
people
right.
want like a spreadsheet, it's a blank slate and we start building in it and so
Right.
forth. But
Yeah.
and then come to your app and we look at all
Yeah.
the tools and we think, what could we build? But most people
Yeah.
want something, get me close really fast, right?
Absolutely.
And
And some of the
you know the
businesses are
use
like that.
cases. Do
Yeah.
most of your customers use templates as the starting point?
Yes, most of them use templates or they just import their spreadsheets.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're often running.
Yeah.
Well, that's really exciting. Here, let's talk about your growth possibilities. You said funding not yet, or maybe, or you're open to it, I guess, if there's the right argument.
Yeah.
Not hell no, never, like Jason at Base Camp, or that
Yeah.
he's not really interested in that. But what is your growth game? You've got giants out here,
Yeah.
Airtable and Zapier and ClickUp and
Yeah.
that are playing in workflows and integrations and
Yeah.
build apps and templates and all of those kind of things. You're not a vertical that says everybody's horizontal. We could do the vertical one, like the CRM example.
Yeah.
What is your strategy for getting to 10 million in revenue and hundreds
Yeah.
of thousands of companies on the platform? Do
Absolutely.
you
See,
have, I mean, do you have a theory about that, or do you have a plan
yeah.
in action, or where are
Yeah.
you with the next phase?
Yeah. So I think everybody's trying to become an all-in-one solution, to
I
be really
know.
honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all in one for everyone.
All in one for everyone, right? And that's the hardest thing, to do. What we
Hmm.
are aiming for, and we see as a next, phase of growth, is to build verticalized solutions out of the base platform that we have built. So let's say if it's a sales manager, we are going to, and we have already started adding a lot of CRM features, right,
Hmm.
within the platform. With a spreadsheet style interface and all the flexibility, you have all these powerful CRM features on top of it,
Hmm.
right? Like checklists or reminders or email sync, or things like that that a normal sales manager would look for, right?
Hmm.
Same way we are building for like different marketing use cases, right, with all these different API connectors. So we're trying to
Hmm.
verticalize solutions on the base platform that we've built
Not vertical by industry, but like, let's
by
say
functions.
horizontal niches or whatever you'd
Yeah.
say, application sets
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are vertical by functions, right?
I
So we
see.
want to
Okay,
verticalize
there we go. Functional. Yeah.
by functions, right? By marketing, by sales, by HR. So to make sure that, they are getting the right product and they're getting the right features, only the features that they care about.
Ah,
So for
well, this
example,
is a challenge, the horizontal. Now you're creeping up here because that's a
yeah,
pretty big stack of features. And how many,
yeah,
for a mid-size organization, HR, sales, marketing, everybody else, project management,
yeah.
how many functional apps would you need to be able to support? Like hundreds, or
Yeah, at
start
least
at,
at least 50s, if not hundreds, right? I
okay,
mean, for a
there you go.
single function. So
That's
so
daunting,
and
isn't it?
huh?
Isn't that daunting? Like that's the really all the vertical founders who are listening are like, no, I say the same thing to everybody. They all have the same thing. I just say, here's the app. That's what it does. It does it automatically. They don't
Yeah,
have to build anything or customize it.
yeah.
Like, but you got to build 50 or 100 kind of mini apps on your platform.
Exactly. And one thing that I've really seen is the whole generative AI, coming into the picture.
Yeah, there's that
This
too.
is,
Yeah,
this is going to become like much faster. So just to give you an example,
for
if suppose
you.
we're, yeah, much faster for us to be able to
Okay.
scale and build those right features. But at the same time, let's say if suppose we there are for HR managers, let's say we've got PDFs or resumes onto the database, and they want
Hmm.
to extract data out of the PDFs and put it into
Hmm.
the columns that they have. Now,
Yes.
this is a feature that I don't
That's
think so a marketing person would need, right?
yeah.
or for example, a product person would need, right? Unless they're putting product briefs and things like that. But the whole PDF extraction feature is more of people who who are
Hmm.
like in operations or in HR, right?
Hmm.
Now, to able to give that AI feature, I don't have to really give it to everyone, right?
Yeah.
We have to basically verticalize, certain feature sets for certain audiences, and
Yeah.
that's where I think would set us apart. Now, versus like for a marketing team, to be able to generate content, right, or campaign briefs out of the inputs in the table. Now, this is something that a marketer would appreciate.
Yeah.
If they're managing their content or campaigns, so they're looking for social media captions and things like that, right? So, if you're able to verticalize and put AI in the right way, which enables and unlocks the use cases in a more deeper way for that particular customer, is what we're looking for, right?
Is that what the big guys, the
Yeah,
Airtables and Zapiers, everybody's talking about AI, and if you're going
yeah,
to enterprise, there's the AI buzzword, and if you're doing
yeah,
funding, it's got AI and so forth.
yeah,
But are you doing a more practical version of that using,
yes,
platform AI,
yeah.
models and yeah, and
Yeah, we are very
you know,
model agnostic. Like I want to
mhm.
support all the models. So like with what DeepSeek has done in the last
Yeah.
2 weeks, it's crazy. So we want to be able to create a platform which supports all the AI models that are
Mhm.
coming in, where people can choose the AI model that they're looking for, whether it's cloud or Chat GPT or DeepSeek, and generate the output that they're looking for, right?
So how do
And
you get to those customers? Now you've got,
yeah,
this is the product muscle,
yeah.
again, we're going to build out these apps, these vertical, app functions with AI
Yeah.
magic trick in there. How do you go get those customers? Is it still organic and SEO and so forth,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. So I think
yeah,
one thing that I've realized that there are a lot of opportunities in terms of programmatic SEO,
yeah, yeah,
that we could scale. I mean, say today we have got 2,000 pages on Stackby, right?
hmm,
How do we go to 200,000
yeah,
pages,
yeah,
right? Second is, how do we build long thriving communities on the platform? So we've got
hmm,
our own self-hosted community. We've got Facebook group
right.
where we are engaging with our customers on a daily
HR
basis.
people talking to other HR people on the platform. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, how do we build this community, right? And if you're able to do, few of these things, right? Like, and we also have like an affiliate and partner program, and
Yeah.
these are like agencies. Like, today we have more than 300 plus affiliate partners globally in 20
Yeah.
countries, and these
Okay.
are marketing agencies, project management consultancies, business development, business processing consultancies, automation experts, no code experts,
Hmm.
really suggesting Stackby to their client base. So
Right.
how do we able to scale from 300 affiliates to becoming this large 1,000 plus partners globally?
Right.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
and if you get to 10 million in revenues and
yeah,
100,000, paying business customers, you
yeah,
know, if, and somebody says, we'd like to buy it or we'd like to invest, what do you
yeah,
think about that now? Like, are you
yeah,
open to that or, do you have a vision somewhere
yeah,
or a number in your head that says we hit that number,
yeah.
we'll do it? If Zoho comes and says we want to buy it or something?
I keep
The new
getting that a
CEO
lot.
this week? Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So, but I feel that this is an IPO-able business, Greg, because we've
Oh,
seen,
wow.
yeah. So we've seen, companies in this space have just gone one way, IPO, right? We've
Hmm.
seen Smartsheet, we've seen Monday, we've seen Asana.
Yes. Yeah.
Majority of these companies have moved, up market to an IPO because the whole total addressable market is huge and the amount of possibilities on top of
Hmm.
a platform is just immense, right? Of the things that you can build.
So
So
it's almost like this phase that you've gotten in so far, tens of thousands
yeah,
of customers, is just really funding product development and
yeah,
maturity in the right, at the right pace, at the
yeah,
right way with the
yeah,
customer, feedback and testing along the way.
yeah,
But you're planning to build a quite large business, which when
yep.
Zoho grew, is the cheaper alternative in CRM in the beginning, and then grew and grew, grew. Now it's $1 billion business, and
Yeah, it's a billion in ARR now.
the founder is the
Yeah,
20th richest man in India, multi-billionaire, who
yeah,
just stepped down this week, to
yes,
for another CEO.
yeah.
But are you seeing that kind of? I mean, that's like an IPO-able thing, but that was a
Yeah.
bootstrap company. So are you seeing a
That
version of that,
outcome is
or
also great. That outcome
okay?
is definitely great. Like what
Uh,
how Zoho has built. because a couple of things that out of the Zoho DNA that we have really followed. First, we
Hmm.
started out of a tier two town. Zoho also started out of a tier two town, and they built a university in a tier two town, and they have their own university. People go to that university and then end up, joining Zoho and build products, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing
So
that
literally, they built their own workforce, right, and decided to do that. Nobody does that, and he figured it out, did it.
absolutely, he figured it
Yeah.
out, and I feel there are big. This is the biggest opportunity for us. Like if we could do that in our city as well, where on top of a platform we could build a plethora of use cases and apps, right? Regardless, how they price it as separate products. Maybe it is one platform, but can solve deeper for those meaningful use cases.
Hmm.
Is what we're going
Yeah,
after
they literally built apps for all the use cases,
for
asset
all.
management, and kept on going, right? Yes.
Exactly. And to make it entirely, AI powered, right?
Yeah.
Like across the ecosystem, from creating a database to creating a form to even generating text to bringing data from other workflows.
Hmm.
How do we make end-to-end AI powered apps, right? To even build interfaces through prompts, right? So that's where we are going after, and we're building for that. So today we are at a place where we've already started working on it in bits and pieces, and we are very closely monitoring how AI is happening. And then we are going to bring on certain features that would solve for very niche use cases first,
Yeah.
rather than introducing a generic AI
Right.
into
Right.
Stackby where people don't know where to start and what to do with it, right? We
Yeah.
want to even templatize the use cases for AI within the platform.
So it's yeah, it's not a vertical niche focus and it's
Yep.
horizontal, but you're a multi niche, right? Or many,
Yeah.
you can have thousands of use cases in there
Yeah. Yeah.
that are all about that. Are you starting to see growth pick up here? Let's say it's been a relatively slow at the top line here. You've got lots of customers and you've been building
Yeah.
the product steadily and
Yeah.
maturing here. Is growth starting to pick up as
Yeah.
you know, head through
Absolutely.
this phase?
No, no, absolutely, it has. And we have seen larger companies now reaching out to us. These are upwards of, two, 300 user, client base. And
What
these are
would you
some of the
say your
largest.
growth rate, run rate is right now? Like in the next year, or
Yeah.
I mean, you probably don't have projections. You didn't have to do this, or you didn't want to play the VC funding game or whatever. But do you,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
practically so far?
honestly, our game is to grow at least 15 to 18% month on month.
Okay, so that's more than double, and and
Yeah,
then some kind of thing. So, by
exactly.
the way, that's any investor listening would be saying that's really interesting. Mature product starting to double,
Yeah.
right? You know,
And organically, this is happening, right?
yeah, I
Organically,
know,
we are
I
getting
know.
the 15, 20%, growth rates month on month. And I feel, if we start really focusing on conversions and building the right team at the bottom of the funnel, we could really start closing in more clients.
And you don't even have a full-time CTO, full-time CFO, any of that
No,
right now.
no, no.
Do you have a
Fractions.
full-time leader besides you in this 30, 40 person sub company?
Yeah, I mean, there is, like we've got, full time, of course, engineering architects and technical
Okay.
architects on the platform. Yeah, and they've been with us for 5, 6 years.
Hmm.
But in terms of like as a CTO, like we have a fractional CTO, as I
Yeah.
said, and a fractional CMO who are
Yeah.
working 4 to 6 hours daily on the platform, and they're laser focused in terms of what they want to achieve, and the rest is really, done by these individual technical heads and team leads, so
Yeah.
as so to say, and they're
Well,
taking care of it.
Rachit, it's really a testament to how much you can build
Yeah.
a pretty substantially mature product, right? Without even full-time CTOs and and
Yeah.
without funding and so forth. So this practical software game is changing, and
Yeah.
AI is going to help it change even more. Maybe you're superpowering all of your devs with AI tools and so forth. So yeah, all right.
It's very
Sorry, Mike.
interesting the way the future is going, and we're very positive in terms of how, like, even Stackby is now being perceived. In the industry, we're largely being underdogs in the space,
Yeah,
and we like to keep it at that, because I think that is also giving us a certain level of advantage, where people do have an aha moment. There are these large customers who have come from these well-funded competitors, and they are like, wow, they can also do the same things that the other company was doing, and we're
Yeah.
paying 5 times extra on
Yeah.
that platform. Why don't we give these guys a try? Plus, they have some more of the features. They listen to you. Their customer support is great.
Other than that, yeah.
The founder can, you can directly reach out to the founder at 2 a.m. in the night. He could be manning customer support, who knows. uh,
Good.
and those things would really creates an impression in
Right.
front of the customer.
Well, that's
And
great.
yeah.
Have you had some, this is crazy frugal, without funding, and it's been now 4.5 years since you've launched the product live
Yeah.
and in revenue, and building furiously. Have you had a reasonable lifestyle through here or has this been all day, all night working?
No, no, I do have a very reasonable lifestyle. I mean, I still on average work 10, 11 hours a day,
Yeah.
but I make sure that my lifestyle does not suffer. I'm into sports, so I play cricket,
Well, isn't that
badminton.
like a founder thing? Nobody gasped when you said that. I work 11, 12 hours a day and I make sure my life doesn't suffer. Like, you're not normal, neither am I. But yeah, I get it. So that's great.
Yeah, but I do try to find some time for a pickleball game. Let's
Okay.
let's put it that
Cricket.
way. Cricket and pickleball. As pickleball is I'm picking up.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's
Okay. That's a global phenomenon. Speaking of another wave coming through there. That's
yeah,
awesome here.
that's product
So,
led growth.
yeah. So a
Yeah,
founder in Surat comes to
yeah,
you and says, I've got this idea. I think it's an opportunity.
yeah,
I haven't quit my day job yet, but I see what you've done and where it's going, and I see what's going on, and I want to do it here in Surat. What advice do you have for them about?
yeah.
I mean, everybody's different, every market, but what are the general things that you would advise founders if you spoke to a local group of I want to start a software company type entrepreneurs in India, and I'm sure there's many
There's
in
many,
your neighborhood.
and I do mentor quite a few entrepreneurs in India who reach out to me, bootstrapped SaaS
Hmm.
founders. And one thing that I tell them: fail fast, fail cheap. Do not get emotionally invested in your product. If there is a chance to pivot, you pivot, and try to make sure that you build a
So
mini.
easy to say, Rachit. Like
Yeah,
what do you maintain some objectivity here. The
yeah,
product is not me. I can change things, and like
yeah.
most people don't do that.
Yeah, as much as I can like put it in words, I mean, everybody has their own journey. I feel, and
Yeah.
if you're true to yourself and your journey, I think the universe will support you. And
Okay.
I'm a big believer of that. If you
Hmm.
really manifesting your product and you're manifesting your vision of
Yeah.
the product, it will come into fruition, right? I've
Yeah.
seen, Stackby was a bare bone spreadsheet, which had a ugly UI. Let me put it that way when I launched the product. But now when I see it, because I always had that vision, it has to look good. It has to look good. When people are using it daily, they want to be looking at a subtle, good looking product
Yeah.
that they enjoy, which
Right.
makes them feel confident about themselves, right?
Right. Hmm.
And like over a period of time we continued building on it. Now we are at a point where we know it's not an ugly product. We have beautified it. And even to beautify it, it seems that it's very simple, but there are a lot of things that you have to
Oh yeah.
refactor and everything. You have to go through the process of endless testing and that whole loop to be able to make sure that you're building the right user experience.
Right.
So I feel if you manifest your dreams and you be at it truly deeply, I think universe will support you, and that product will see the light of the day, and there will be few supporters and customers who would come and help you. And
Hmm.
and that would be the starting point, and from there on you won't have to look back.
Awesome.
So one thing to new age founders is to keep going at it and do it for the right reasons, right?
Right.
If you want to make money, it's better off that you should be doing a job, because if you're a smart person, you can easily make 200 grand a year
Hmm.
and have a decent enough lifestyle. But if you're really truly passionate and money is not the only motivation for you to be in the business, then you should definitely give it a try and take it on.
And make a lot less.
Or maybe make a lot more, but with uh,
Someday.
with
Yeah.
with delayed gratification,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So
How long could you delay? You already have something very valuable,
yeah,
Rachit. So, and I
yeah,
appreciate your practical advice there. Congratulations on the massive progress in your business and being
yeah.
ready for and energized for the next phase of your journey. I could see that you're creating something big.
No, absolutely. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And I definitely feel we're just scratching the surface. So no need to congratulate me. I feel we're just, there's a lot of potential to make this into a massive success.
Great. Thanks for sharing your story here on the Practical Founders podcast, Rachit.
I really appreciate it, Greg, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching this week's founder interview on the Practical Founders podcast. Be sure to hit like and then subscribe to my Practical Founders YouTube channel to keep up with my weekly videos for serious software founders who are building valuable companies without big funding. Check out my blog and information about my Practical Founders CEO peer groups at practicalfounders.com. And follow me on LinkedIn to keep the conversation going. See you next week.